Hi, good evening. It's Wednesday. Oh my goodness, it's May 5th. I should know that. Tomorrow's Bill's birthday. So we're going to get started here in a minute. I want to make sure everything looks good and we're all upright. Hey, Crystal. Thanks for joining. This evening, we are going to be looking at the Pansy Petal Suite, and I'm so happy to be able to open up the catalog now that it's live online. Hopefully everybody's got a chance to look at it and go peruse it. I just think this set is so pretty. And it's on page 28 and 29. So we'll just take that catalog and move it out of our way. Hey, Deborah. So the set, it comes with 23 stamps because this is multiple stamping to get the look of a pansy. To make this one pansy takes these 4 steps. So we're going to be working on those tonight. And the little one takes 3. The leaves are the same way. They're double stamping. But then it has these beautiful dies. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those dies tonight too. I want to bring them out when I show you what we're making here. This is the first card. Hopefully that's in the center of my screen there. Now, the first pansy we make, we're going to make it all out of the dies and cutting it. And if you can see, the dies cut and emboss your cardstock. So it's so pretty. There's no stamping at all except for the sentiment on this card. And this paper is out of the Pansy Suite DSP. I really, really like this paper. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to get all my pieces out here. So this is a top folding portrait style card. So that means it's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And then on the inside here, I just stamped the little bud out of the set and then put some DSP in here. This is just the back side of this paper. So you can see on the card here, this has all of the papers that are in that DSP. And so I just picked this one out and used both sides of it. So we're going to work on the front. So the front card, I'm letting the paper do a lot of the talking. So I'm going to take a piece of paper here that is 4 by 2 3/4 inch for the top and 4 3/4 inch here on the bottom. So let me go ahead and adhere those. Looking for my glue. Hello, Barbara. How are you? And while I'm doing this, I will let you know, I think Bill did mention it in our last newsletter. I have a website, bethannstamps.com, and I am trying to put a little blog out there twice a week. Once will be for the cards we make doing this video, and then one more during the week. Okay, this piece is, I should have told you, this cardstock is the new In Color Soft Succulent. This piece of cardstock is all from the new inline. This is the polished pink. I really like this pink for some reason. And this is cut 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. So it will fit side to side on the front of my card and fill in that spot. So we're going to go ahead and get that in there. There we go. And I did the top and bottom first, and then I can split that difference between those two. So we're almost there. The next thing I did is, this is a die cut, but this die cut is out of the painted label dies that go with the Poppy set. It's from Painted Poppies. This goes with that. It's been in the catalog for a couple years, and it's still in the catalog, but I just think This is such a pretty, they're both out of here. They're the big one and the small one. So I am just going to glue this down. And we'll just put it right there. And I can even go ahead and put my sentiment. Now, the sentiment is out of the Pansy Patch stamp set, and I stamped it in soft succulent to match the card base. I'll just put that down here. So now we're going to build the pansy. I did go ahead and die cut all of my pieces so that you don't have to watch me do that. But I wanted to show you how this works to build this pansy. So you have to do it in multiple stampings. This is this die for the top pink. So you need to cut 2 of those. The next piece down here are the petals. And when you decide to do these, again, this is the die. It will cut it and emboss it, if you can see those edges on there. And you can pick whatever colors. I mean, if you look out in nature, pansies come in such beautiful colors. So there's no rules here. All right, so the next piece is the outline of the face down here is what I call it. That is this die. Okay. Then we have the piece underneath. This one I did in Whisper White, or Basic White, I apologize. I think you can see the texture there. Okay. And then the little whiskers part of them, we're going to put that down here, and that is in dark. So it really helps when you're thinking about how you're cutting this out, what you want it to look like for the dark colors versus the light and then the whiter face. And then for the center of the flower, it's this die. It looks like little teardrops. You only need 1 of these per flower, but the die actually will cut 3 of them out. I happen to have 4 here. And then the leaves are the same way. So I'm just going to bring 2 of these up. This is the base, the bigger part of the leaf, and it has that etching that it does, the embossing on it. And then this does the veining. Now, when I did the one for the second card, I reversed the leaves. On this one, the big leaf was soft succulent, and then we'll just call them the veining on it, I did in Evening Evergreen. This time I'm doing them backwards. The base is Evening Evergreen, and then the top one will be that soft succulent, and I also did it in the small version. So that's how your dies match up to build this flower. So now we're going to go ahead and build it. And I'm going to bring in my teeny tiny bottle of glue. Since these are some small pieces, I'm going to start with the white base. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to get some glue off there. You can, before you would stick these into the die cutting machine, you could put a sticker back on them, one of the sticky sheets. So then you could just peel and stick. I did not do that. Now, these edges line up very well. You can see they have that same little ridging on the edges. So there we go. We're on the way to building our pansy. I'm going to bring in, and you can see the difference between the front and the back pretty easily. So we're going to take this little guy, and I'm just going to take this lip and put it right up against, hopefully you can see how I'm doing that, where I get that right in underneath that pale papaya. And it just sits right in there. There we go. And I will go ahead, put his nose in. I don't know, does anybody else look at pansies and think of a face? I can't be the only one. All right, so that's the bottom part of our flower. So now we're going to do the same thing with this upper part. I'm going to make sure that I have the right side up. It's a little smoother. Oop, if I could hold on to it. This is the back. So I'm just going to put a few dots of glue on there. Come on. And again, it will line up with those edges right there. And then I'll do the other side. Oop. I'm starting to see flowers pop out. We had our local May Mart, and there were so many beautiful flowers, but I have to admit, I didn't buy any. Still too cold here for me to have flowers out, so I'm building paper flowers. All right, so then this is just going to sit on here. So I'm going to put these two together. And then put some glue here. And we'll just attach that. There we go. We have a beautiful pansy out of cardstock. The leaves are the exact same way. So we have our base leaf, and then we want to put on the top cutout piece. So again, whoop. And that die, the edges are exactly the same, so they're very easy to line up. I'll do the same thing here with the little one. I love that the glue dries clear. So even if you get a little extra on there, it will dry clear. Okay, so we can move these dies out of our way. And of course, there is a tutorial this week, so that will go out in the email. All right, so I'm gonna pop this up on some dimensionals. I like this new Pale Papaya too. I really like all of the new in colors. All right, so before I put this completely down, since those dimensionals are on there, I'm going to see where I want to put the leaves, because they're going to be glued straight down. So we'll do that. So we're just going to put it here. And then we'll put the little one beside it. And now we can take the dimensional backs off. So I have to ask, you can answer in the comments if you've had a chance to look at the new catalog and what your favorite new stamp is. You have to let me know. There we go. So we got that all built, and then I'm going to bring in the bumblebees trinkets. They're just so cute. And we're going to find a glue dot. And we're just going to pop that little bee down. Looks like my little gem popped off of here, so I am going to bring those back in. These are the in color jewels. And I knocked one off of my card. So I'll put it back on this one. And then we'll put a few on this side. And I'm using the polished pink. And they're in 2 different sizes. There we go. Put a pen in there. My glue is going a little crazy. All right, so that is our first card this evening. go ahead and move those out of our way. The second card that we're going to do involves stamping. Just want to clean up my glue there that's dripping all over the place. So let me pull in that second card. And that would be this card. Oh, Deborah, the bee is so cute. I really like it. And it's such a pretty color. That gold just really blings. There we go. So this is our second card. We're again going back to that DSP to pull in another one. And again, I'm using just the one piece. This is it down here on the bottom. And so I'm using that with the reverse. The base of this card is Evening Evergreen. So again, all new colors. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started with this card. And I did the inside also. So here we go. Evergreen, Evening Evergreen. This one is again Portrait 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I did stamp on the inside here, wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you. Again, that is a sentiment in this stamp set. And then I did stamp a pansy down here just using the Bumblebee ink. So, but for this one, we're going to work on this card. So I did cut a base piece of cardstock. And this base is 4 by 5. And then I took the DSP and I cut it 4 pieces. Hold on a second here. I'm trying to think. Oh, so I took, these are 12 by 12 sheets of paper. And I cut a 1-inch strip off the end. And then I cut that into 4. So these are 3 inches each. So I used just that one strip of the DSP. And I'm going to build my card onto this base. So the first thing I'm going to do is I sort of look at them and say, okay, which ones do I want for which pansies facing up? So this one has some cute purple ones in it. And this one has some of the pink and the pale papaya. So I'm going to use these other 2 pieces for the flip side. Totally personal preference. So I'm just going to put these along here. And then I'll flip this one over. And I just butt them up against each other. By building it on this card is exactly the size that I want my finish to be to put it on to here. It just gives it a little sturdiness, and then it also helps me with my placement. You wouldn't have to do this. You could build it right on to this if you wanted to. I just preferred to do it this way. And then for the top, I cut a piece of basic white and I cut it at 4 by 2. And then I used this painted texture 3D folder. I just really like how this embossing folder looks. And so we're going to put that across the top of our card and line it up on the edge. I can't see. There we go. There's a gap here, but that gap is okay because we're going to cover that with our sentiment strip. And I did that intentionally because, like I said, this on the bottom was one 12-inch strip by 1 inch. If I'd have cut it to fit, you'd have had to cut 2 of those. So in trying to be conscious of how I'm using my paper, it doesn't matter if this is short here, because then what we're going to do, well, there should be, my sentiment strip should be here. I'll have to ask ask Bill, and looking at my cards, he helps me take the photos of the cards and write them up. It's missing from the envelope. Okay, well, we'll just cut another one and make it then. So, yeah, not here. All right, so let me grab my paper and my trimmer. That's what happens when you're live, right? So my sentiment, the soft succulent for behind the sentiment is going to be 4 by 1. Whoop. So we'll go ahead and, I just ripped my trimmer apart. This is live TV, right? Anything is possible. So I'm going to do 4-inch. All right. So there's my 4 by 1, and then my sentiment strip of basic white. There we go. Is going to be 3/4. And it just only has to be about, probably about 3.5 inches, because the pansies are going to cover that up. Can you hand me the soft succulent ink, Bill? Soft succulent ink.
I still didn't hear you.
All right, so let me pull this out, and we're going to put a happy birthday on the front. So I'm going to grab that stamp. Best laid plans, right? Anything can happen. Okay, let me just test that. Oh, nope, evergreen. I realized it's a different ink. Evening evergreen. There we go. So I'm just going to stamp that on here. That's why there's 2 sides, right? There we go. I'm going to glue these together. And then I'm going to attach this right across the center here. Hi, Maureen. And then I'm going to attach this down. Oh, make sure I have that right set up the way my luck's going. I'll put it on upside down on the back. There we go. All right. So now I'm just going to bring this piece of cardstock in to show you how we stamp these pansies. Let me put this one away. Put this on here. Okay. So we're going to do the large one first. There is the flat piece that is the background. Then there's the darker for the accents. Then there is the inside of the face, which again is a lighter color. And then the whiskers, which will be a darker color. Okay. So I think we are good. So for this one, I'm going to do all Highland Heather. So I'm going to start with the face, and we would want a piece of scratch paper near us, because to get the lighter color with this Highland Heather, I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp it. So that gives me that somewhat lighter color. Now I'm going to take the accent stamp, and I want that to be full strength right on top. And then I'm going to come back in for the surrounding little face, and I'm going to stamp that off. So in the middle here, I get that lighter. That's where we put that white. Then we're going to come back in with the little whiskers, keep it in full strength, and there you go. And then of course there is a little tiny piece that you can stamp for the nose. Let me grab that one real quick. It is tiny. And then for that one, I did just use a pale color. I think for this one I used a bumblebee. So we'll do that in bumblebee. And you just stamp it right in the middle. Okay, so that's how we would stamp the big one. And every time you do them, you're going to get a slightly different look. I think that is really cool with these stamp sets because there's so much variation that you can get. Let me rip this one off. Now this next one is the small. It has the 3 pieces. Again, you have your background, you have the accent edges, and the little whiskers and the nose. So with this one, I'm going with Pale Papaya and Calypso Coral. So my first one is going to be that light color. So I'm going to go with that Pale Papaya and put that down. Then I'm going to take that outline stamp, get some Calypso Coral on there. It's nice because these are the polymer stamps, so you can see through those. This one, of course, the face is pretty filled in, so you don't have that extra stamp. I'm going to go with some dark here, again, in that Calypso Coral. And then in this case, I don't want to introduce the bumblebee to this, so I'm just going to do the nose in that Pale Papaya. Now, you would take from the die set, you would take these 2 dies and you would put them on and you would run them through the die cutting machine and you end up with these. So I'm going to bring these into my card and they are going to just, I'm going to glue them down, but before I do, I did, again, punch out some of the leaves. For this card, I didn't do the dual layering like I did with this one. I liked them just like this, and so I want to see where I want to put those. And you just play with them until they're aligned in a way you like. And then you just glue them down. Here. And I'm going to put the, oh, there it is. So, I hope you like these cards this evening. They're a lot of fun to make, and there's such a variety that you can do with this Stampin' die set. Now so there we go. Those are our cards. Let me pull back in the other ones that we did. So you can see, you can cut the flower completely out of the cardstock and use the dies to cut and emboss, or you can stamp them in any colors you want. So it's really a really great set. So I appreciate everybody watching me this evening. as always, you take time out of your day to spend this time with me, and it is greatly appreciated. I love sharing things with you and hopefully inspiring you to go and make something. Thank you, Deb. I really appreciate that. So have a great evening, and I hope to see you here next week. Bye.